Hi, this video is related to something that I talked with Shoner. If you haven't seen our live stream, please check out the link in the description. He made an interesting question. We were talking about skill checks and such, but he was asking how I would handle a situation where the player characters had forgotten to turn on their flashlight or their torch. And I handled it in a very simple way. I usually handle it very logically. If the characters are looking for something and they don't have their flashlight or their torch on, I just describe the dark environment, right? If they are looking for something in a dark room, I mention it is too dark to see anything clearly. You can see a few feet ahead of you and so forth, such details. So now they get the hint that they need to turn on the light or turn on the torch. Much better than having the game master that doesn't exist in the game world do something like, hey, this is your god, the game master, please turn on your flashlight. It's ridiculous unless you are running a comedy game, which I think most people that think that they are running tabletop RPGs and are doing the Mother May I session and asking questions out of character, etc., or maybe perhaps playing it like a sort of board game, I think they are actually running unintentional comedy sessions. But when it comes to actually looking for immersion and roleplay, it got me thinking. You should always play with the narrative errors of the game master or the players. I think it's more on the part of the player characters at times, because usually the game master should have things very clearly organized, set up, should be running things smoothly. But let's say that you are running a simulationist system with a very rigid structure when it comes to turns, actions, perhaps action points, maybe second by second actions, etc. What if a combat has just started and one of the player characters says something like, I draw out my sword, I advanced, and I cut the enemy diagonally. Try to cut the enemy diagonally. Instead of saying, no, you can't do that, or no, you can only draw your sword first and then you can move and attack. Instead of breaking the narrative like that, shattering the immersion, if that is not allowed, depending on the system, maybe you could rule it out as a failed attack automatically. Perhaps you could say that the character draws his sword, he takes a few steps, taking into account, and don't re-describe or describe the situation again. You could say something like you managed to do that, but the enemy was just an inch far away, so your cut misses. And things like that. When it comes to miniatures, it's much better if everyone is following the rules, but if that error is made, maybe you can apply a penalty hinting that was out of order or outside of the rules structure. So maybe you allow the character to draw out his weapon, move a few steps ahead, like 5 or 10 feet or whatever, but now that character is going to get a huge penalty to armor class in the next turn. Something like, because you were too hasty when drawing your sword and moving ahead, you are caught off guard or out of balance, and next time the character is going to take a penalty to the armor class. So it's all about working with the mistakes so that the narrative is preserved and the immersion is not shattered because roleplay was thrown out of the equation. Because both the game master and the players, even though they are controlling opposing forces in a lot of situations, the game master is controlling or presenting the hazards, controlling the enemies. The players, of course, are going to be using their player characters to the best of their ability to succeed at different tasks, checks, hazards, encounters, combats, all sorts of battles. They are working together to create a coherent story through the interactions of the player characters with the game world. So I think game masters and players should iron these narrative mistakes out. They should polish like the rugged edges. If you notice that either the game master or the player has made some sort of mistake, keep on with the narrative in order to hint that that player is going out of line or not respecting the structure or the rules. Like I said, this is usually appraised or glimpsed or seen in simulationist systems with strict structures when it comes to combat and the like. Apply some penalties later on, take advantage of certain things, of those errors within the narrative, but try to keep the narrative together, keep it going. You have to cover up those holes, those seams, so that the immersion is preserved. That's my take on things. Let me know your own thoughts on this. As always, thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for your comments, for your likes. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Once again, thank you, and see you later.